Today, big on our slip. I got slip because the boys love to read the slips, isn't it? So on our MasterCard, we'll be talking about that big transfer. It's Mohamed Kudus. He's moving to Tottenham Hotspur. He's gotten the former vice president of the land to tweet about that. It's a big story. We're going to talk about that shortly. Then of course Chelsea. Who thought Chelsea would do that trick they did? But yesterday, Real Madrid. Can you even believe that? We've got this on our schedule to talk about today, this afternoon. You can share the links. Make sure all your friends are in tune. Subscribe as well and share. Let's get the show started. I'm not in the studios alone. Of course, I'm here with Yao AJ Minta, and of course, we have our guy to here, Julio. We call him. Yao, Charlie, welcome.
Thank you very much.
55 million there is not small money.
Oh yeah, it's big money.
You feel he's played quality football for West Ham United to value him in that that particular range?
Oh yes, Kudus definitely is worth £55 million, and I honestly believe that if it could be 60, I think that would be just the right valuation for him. I'm looking at what he's been able to produce so far in the English Premier League and overall talent. You see, you're not just paying for the production. You're paying for the production, but you're also looking at the talent and how high this guy can go. I mean, he's 24 years, and when you look at the talent and how he's progressed as a player, you can tell that yes, there is more that he can give. And if you are Tottenham Hotspurs, and he's 24 years and you've paid £55 million, more or less like 60 million, you are projecting that okay, he came in from Right to Dream, moved to Nordsjælland, progressed to Ajax, moved to West Ham. The EPL is a big step up from the Eredivisie, and he's shown that yes, indeed, he is a quality player. So you are projecting that once he makes it to Tottenham Hotspurs, he will continue on that trajectory, and he'll continue to deliver. And if he does so, in the next 2 years, he'll be 26 years old, and he will be in the prime of his career and ready to be able to take that next step in his career. And so potentially you are looking at Tottenham Hotspur being in a situation where they are going to get great production from Mohamed Kudus in the present, and great financial benefit from Mohamed Kudus in the near future, where they could sell him for a huge amount of money that would offset the amount they've spent on him, or they are likely to spend on him once he undergoes medicals and he passes all those medicals and becomes a Tottenham Hotspur player. And so yeah, it is a good valuation for Mohamed Kudus on the part of Tottenham Hotspur.
Wow, that's interesting. But for let's begin with West Ham. For West Ham, what kind of player would they be missing in Mo Kudus?
Oh yeah, they'll be missing an excellent player. One of the best creative players in the English Premier League. I mean, this is a guy who in the past 2 seasons has completed most dribbles than any other player. That's 216 in all. And you look at his overall contribution to goals, his overall contribution to West Ham's attacking play, and his ability to take on players. It serves as a pressure release valve, because whenever, let's say, you're on the back foot, you are getting pressurized by an opposing team, Kudus is the one guy that you can trust that can take the ball, use either his speed or his dribbling abilities, excellent balance, brilliant first touch, to be able to carry the ball out of West Ham's half, carry the ball out of danger, be able to create something out of nothing. That ability, you do not have a lot of players in the EPL, especially in world football. You do not have that ability these days. It used to be quite something that became a benchmark for for how players were judged on how great they were, their ability to create something out of nothing. But these days, it's being coached out of them, and that's why many people find football quite boring to watch these days. Because they believe it's all about the system, positioning, all of those things. It's become too mechanical. You rarely see that instinctiveness or instinctive feel about the game, how players react instinctively to game situations, and so that is what is lacking these days. But Mohamed Kudus is one of those players who still has it, and he's able to turn that into proper production. And so he is a quality player, top level quality player. And you take out Wan-Bissaka did very well last season for West Ham. If you take out Jared Bowen, Mohamed Kudus is easily the second best player, or it even could be the best player at West Ham. So what this means is that West Ham, they are losing out on one of their best players, and certainly one of the best players and most creative players in the English Premier League. One of the best young players and one of the most creative players in the English Premier League.
Well, interestingly, he's able to play centrally as a number 8 or number 10. For the player himself, he came under a number of criticisms, under the previous manager at West Ham, and then we didn't see him shine as we want to see the Mo Kudus, last season. For the player himself, is this a move to rediscover himself?
Yeah, somewhat. Yeah, rediscover himself. I think last season at West Ham, and in general, it kind of felt like a lost season for Mohamed Kudus, even despite all the issues on and off the field. He still managed to deliver something solid, and that's how highly rated he is. It's part of the reason why he's highly rated. But yeah, this is a chance for him to get back to his usual self, because last season was just way too chaotic, and it didn't signal any bit of stability at West Ham, and that's what Mohamed Kudus needed a little bit, because he had, if you watch him, and I did a report on this, the whole coaching changes, carousel of coaches, it comes with a lot of chaos. And you look at what was happening with the Black Stars, Ghana's failure to qualify to the AFCON, the captaincy issue. Mohamed Kudus was named captain. He got taken away from him. All of those issues, it affected him. And the last thing he needed was to go to a club where you spend most of your time as a footballer in chaos. The last thing you want is to go into that situation in chaos. If there's chaos at your national level, the last thing you want is also chaos at the club level. And there was chaos at the club level. Look at Mikel Antonio's car crash, the accident, he having to leave the club for a while to recover from injury. Lopetegui, his issues with Mohamed Kudus, the attitude of Kudus. He clashed with Lopetegui. Lopetegui got sacked. Graham Potter came in. They had to more or less bring him back into the group, because it looked like he was a bit of an isolated figure. Then you remember the bit about he getting banned and fined because of that tackle on Mickey van der Beek, clashing with him, clashing with, I believe it was Papisa. So that's not a Kudus that we know. And so you are right to say that he was kind of lost, and this very likely move to Tottenham Hotspurs gives him the chance to find himself and get back to being the Kudus that we all know and believe that he can be.
I guess his flexibility allows him that direct slot in the starting 11 should he finalize the deal in Spurs, is it?
Yeah. Can he start? Yes. He should absolutely start. I mean, I'm thinking about. I mean, once the news broke, I chanced on a tweet that looked at Tottenham's purported starting lineup for next season, and there was Solanke in there, Matthias Tel, and there was Mohamed Kudus. I think that's just about right. I think Mohamed Kudus will slot in one of those spots. Dominic Solanke will slot in one of those starting spots. Is on the other side of the flank. That's where the battle will be. Will Spurs opt for Matthias Tel as the starter, or would Thomas Frank, the head coach, the recently appointed head coach, would he opt,
the new guy they brought in before?
Yeah, would he opt for Brennan Johnson? There's Son Heung-min too. So there are several,
and there's that new guy they brought. What's his name? They brought in a number 9. So well, I'll recall his name.
Yeah, sure. There are different ways that they can set up in terms of an attack, and so what that brings up is a good situation for Thomas Frank. Yeah, it comes with this headache, but you get to line up a team filled with quality all across the front line. But with Mohamed Kudus' chances of starting for Spurs,
I'm talking about Dominic Solanke.
Yeah, Solanke. Yeah, I mentioned him.
Okay.
So with Kudus' chances of starting for Spurs, yes, I believe he has a very good chance of starting for Spurs, Tottenham Hotspur, an excellent chance actually, and I don't see him coming off the bench. I think the real battle will be on the other side. Do you start Matthias Tel or Matthias Tel or Brennan Johnson or Son Heung-min? And if you are starting all three, and let's say you play Mohamed Kudus in the number 10 position, play him behind the striker Dominic Solanke, then it means that you're where are you going to play James Maddison? Or maybe if he's not available, then that's when you place Mohamed Kudus. And once you place Mohamed Kudus in such a heavy attack-minded lineup, then it means that you have to balance it out by having strong midfielders and players who can be able to make up for the apparent lack of defensive cover, because these guys, they'll do a bit of pressing, but once the ball is played in behind them, is moved beyond them, then you need a bit of cover. Because one thing about Kudus, the weaknesses, one of the weaknesses in his game is the slow rate at ball recovery and putting in a defensive shift. And so that would be one that Thomas Frank would have to address if he starts a 3-man front line with Mohamed Kudus playing in behind the striker. Then in that situation, you definitely have to start a guy like Pape Sarr and let's say a guy like Isbi Suma, because they are the ones who have the athleticism to be able to cover enough ground to ensure that the back line is pretty much protected and the balance is just right in the team.
Well, I feel these are potential challenges you discuss for Spurs, but entirely, progressionally, if you want, what kind of team would Spurs be having Kudus in that shift? Because for example, a team signed a player and we're able to tell that with this average age of the team, it makes them a threat to reckon with, and they're going to go all open, all offensive and what have you. What kind of team would Spurs be with Kudus Mohamed?
A team that will play front foot football, that would attack a lot, but wouldn't have any problem sitting back, knowing very well that they have a guy who can break from deep and who can carry the ball with speed, power, balance, and immense skill. And so I think you find a very balanced Spurs team, and a very versatile Spurs team, or flexible Spurs team, where they can, like I said, they can dominate possession, because Kudus is good with the ball at his feet, he's good in possession, and they can also hit out on the counter attack and play deep conservative football when they have to, without necessarily sacrificing their offensive identity. Sometimes you can play conservative football and it is what you call haram football. It is ultimate defensive football. Like there's nothing constructive. Yeah, there's nothing constructive about the build-up. There is absolutely no desire to hold on to the ball or do anything offensively. All you are doing is to hoof the ball off the field and potentially get a foul or get a corner kick. Then you swing in across or from a corner kick or from a free kick, then potentially get a goal. That in that situation you haven't committed yourself to do anything offensively. You are there to frustrate the opponent and get a draw, or if you're going to get a win, hopefully it's from a penalty or from a set piece. But you can set up in a way that you are playing defensive football, but the way you shape and you position yourself, you make yourself more or less flexible enough to play offensive football, where you're able to sustain possession. Once you take possession of your team, you're able to hit out on the counter attack. You're able to just slow the game down, pace yourself, manage it, and take the wind out of the sail of your opposing team. That is having a defensive approach, but at the same time having more than just enough element from an attacking or offensive perspective to avoid it being labeled as let's say haram football. So in that sense, then you've made yourself quite versatile, you've made yourself quite flexible, without necessarily giving up your identity, which from a Spurs standpoint is all attack.
Oh, for Frank, that's my last question on Kudus. So I want us to touch bits or bits and pieces on some of the issues we have running. But for Thomas, he showed at the Bees what he's able to do. You feel he's the manager to polish this lad up, and how would that influence take or have a positive impact on our Black Stars?
I honestly, I think it will have to be tactical discipline. I think it will have to be tactical discipline because Thomas Frank's team that he's worked with at Brentford, that's what they were noted for. Tactical discipline, position discipline too. I mean, in some areas, you find that Kudus will just be roaming all over the pitch and wouldn't necessarily commit to a specific role or a specific task. In that sense, that's where Thomas Frank comes in, as in being able to give him a set of rules to do or to perform, and being able to get him to set himself up in a way that wouldn't necessarily hurt his offensive production, but will be able to give him the chance to enhance it. That's how I see him being able to affect Kudus's game now that they are going to eminently work together. That is, if Kudus is open to the idea of tactically being disciplined and positionally being disciplined, because in situations, in certain game situations, you don't need to press. You need to just more or less play like a trailer kind of a role, where you are just looking at potential chances where you can take possession of the team, or you are hunting for potential mistakes from the team. So instead of going to hound or press the ball carrier, you are looking at the player that is likely going to receive the pass, and so that is the player that you pay most attention to or more attention to, and just psych yourself to be ready to be able to press that player and be able to take possession of, or you'll be looking at a space where the ball is likely to be played into on the pitch, and you position yourself in a way that you'll be ready to make an interception once the ball is played into that specific area of the pitch. So those are the nuances that I believe that Thomas Frank can transfer to Mohamed Kudus and make him a better player overall for Spurs and for the Black Stars.
Well, West Ham finished 14th in the Premier League last season, with only 5 teams scoring less than their 46 goals. So it's interesting to know that team is also going to suffer as well, especially looking at how they went with their recruitment. I recall over 125 million pounds in spendings, and sacking a manager would have to pay compensation as in Julian Lopetegui, and having a huge impact on the club in the current campaign as well. But who saves Spurs? Is Kudus going to do that magic next season, or maybe a certain you look at their front line, for example. Who do you see Kudus similar to?
No, there's no one like Kudus in the Spurs front line. I mean,
no Richarlison.
No, not Richarlison. I mean, he started out as an out and out winger, and now he's playing as a forward, be it as a support striker or as a number 9. But he does not have the technical ability like Kudus. No, he does not have the technical ability like Kudus. Kudus is absolutely immense. Son cannot dribble 7 goals. Son doesn't dribble like Kudus. Son doesn't take on players like Mohamed Kudus. Son is faster. In his younger years, he was faster than present day Kudus, but he is more direct. Kudus can be a little bit zigzag, going all over the place, diagonal, moving all over the place. So Son is different from Mohamed Kudus. The player who could potentially be in the same ilk as Mohamed Kudus is Matthias Tel.
Not Dejan Kulusevski.
Kulusevski, yes, I think Kulusevski is the closest, but he doesn't have that kind of speed that Mohamed Kudus has. He doesn't have that kind of speed that Mohamed Kudus has. So that's where the comparison comes in. I think he's the closest.
Okay,
he's the closest to Mohamed Kudus, but beside him, I don't think there's anyone close to Mohamed Kudus, because if they are close to Mohamed Kudus in terms of scale, I mean, their approach is different. Their approach is a little bit more direct than Mohamed Kudus. So there is that difference, and that's what separates Kudus from the rest.
Alright, so you're live on YouTube. It's a special edition on Mohamed Kudus' transfer to Tottenham Hotspur. Then we'll look at other issues as well. Let's talk to the Club World Cup now. Well, interestingly, Chelsea are through to the next phase of the competition, closer and much more closer to the trophy. They are up against Paris Saint-Germain. Charlie, I promise you, PSG is not like they are a team you have to think deep to break down, because even the guys who come from bench are as mesmerizing as the guys who starts the game. Let's talk about the Club World Cup, for example. Yesterday, Real Madrid played against PSG. Now, all odds, if you ask me, I think it was in favor of Real Madrid. They had the expensive players in the world. They have players who have the talk of course, PSG also have the players or the talk of the Ballon d'Or. But look, it was a guy who left PSG to go to Madrid to win a lot more in Kylian Mbappe. Well, how did you see the game first off?
Well, it was a good game. And I expected PSG to end up as the winners, and it went as I expected. Did I think they would dominate Real Madrid as they did? Did you? To an extent, because this team has been set up, like it has been really built up by Luis Enrique, and he gladly highlighted it that Real Madrid are operating differently under Xabi Alonso, because he just got there, but he has been building his team for the past 2 seasons.
Sure.
And so you can't compare the two, and so what that means is that, looking at what they've done in recent years, particularly this past season.
Yeah.
There was absolutely no way. There was absolutely no way that Real Madrid were going to beat PSG. I mean, it's football; anything can happen. But realistically, there was no way Real Madrid were beating PSG. The 4-0, yeah, I think it was a bit on the high side. I was expecting, let's say, a 2-0 win for PSG, but they controlling pretty much everything when it comes to possession, when it comes to game chances, when it comes to the big moments, and the overall tempo of the game. But I didn't expect them to do all that and get 4 goals. That's where the bit of a surprise.
And the mistakes as well.
But mistakes are part of football. And if you don't position yourself well enough, and your opponent makes mistakes, you won't be in a position to be able to capitalize on those mistakes. And PSG were in excellent positions all game long to capitalize on those mistakes that Real Madrid made. And so for me, yes, it was another excellent showing at the FIFA Club World Cup by PSG, and so I wasn't too surprised by what I witnessed. And these guys are deserved of the final place that they've been able to book. Because at the end of the day, look, they've been dominant from day one. There was that blip when they lost to Botafogo.
Yeah.
But they've been dominant since day one. If you beat Atletico Madrid 4-0, you beat Lionel Messi's Inter Miami 5-0, you beat Bayern Munich 2-0, and you beat Real Madrid 4-0, yeah, you definitely deserve to be in the final and as the favorite. And that's why I picked them as the favorites to win this FIFA Club World Cup. They are the best team, and they are in form. You can in terms of talent, in terms of coach, you can have all those ingredients, but if you do not have that kind of momentum, you end up missing out on winning a lot of trophies. But they have everything going well for them. I mean, everything, even including situations with injuries. Because a few years back, Ousmane Dembele couldn't even stay on the pitch; he was always injured. But since he got to PSG, he's been healthier than he's ever been before his move to Barcelona. And so even on that front, they are getting lucky. They are winning in that category. They are not having any major long-term injuries. They are not having any major injuries, and so they are, everything is just going right for them. And that's why I believe that come Sunday they will beat Chelsea and end up lifting the trophy.
No, let's stay there. Lifting trophy, beating Chelsea. Let's assume the opposites, as the scenario. If Chelsea beats PSG, does it make Chelsea the best football club in the world?
No.
Why? But that's the FIFA Club World Cup.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, it just can't be based off they beating PSG in the final, because you have to look at the context of where they are coming from. So they are coming from a Premier League competition that they finished 4th. They are coming from a from a Conference League position that they won, but pretty much play against novices when it comes to the European. When it comes to the European competition. I'm building a point.
Okay.
So it's not their fault, but that's what you played against. And on top of that, when you come to the FIFA Club World Cup itself, they ended up on the quote unquote the easier side or bracket of the field, because you look at the teams they played against compared to the other teams that PSG played against. The opposing teams of Chelsea rank as inferior, because they played against Benfica, they played against Fluminense. These teams rank in terms of how they've performed throughout the tournament they fall short of the quality of Atletico Madrid, of Real Madrid, of Inter Miami, of Bayern Munich, especially Bayern Munich, Real Madrid, Atletico Madrid. Those teams that PSG have beaten.
Yeah.
And so if they beat PSG, I don't think the body of work would be enough to surpass the body of work that PSG have.
Okay, but if PSG wins it, does it make them the best club in the world?
Yes, it does, because of the body of work. Because of the body of work, they've beaten the best of the best to get to where they are. They've beaten the best of the best, even in the Champions League.
Yeah.
Even in the Champions League, you look at the teams that they beat. They beat Liverpool in the round of 16. They beat Man City, and they beat another Premier League team. They beat all of them. And the Premier League is the best league in the world, toughest league in the world, and all that. So the quality that they have is second to none. The quality of opposing teams that they played is also very high. And on top of that, they beat the second best team in Italy, a team that lost the Serie A title on the final day to Napoli. A team that pretty much up until the semi-final had the best defense in the Champions League before they conceded all those goals they conceded against Barcelona. Inter Milan had the best defense in the Champions League up until the semi-final matchup against Barcelona.
Yeah.
And this PSG team beat them by 5-0 in a single game. Then they move over to the World Cup. You look at the teams that they've played. I've already mentioned it. And the way they went about it. You see, it's not about you winning. It's about how you win.
We have some comments on our live on YouTube. People are saying PSG are going to beat Chelsea by 4-0, for example. So it's sort of like backing the kind of argument you're making. If PSG finishes it in that manner, it places them on top as the best club in the world.
And I see Ami is also asking that, but Chelsea didn't ask to be put on the easier road. But Chelsea also beat Liverpool in the Premier League. So what are you saying? And that's what I'm saying, that you don't choose or pick your opposing teams. So you had teams that are quite easier to beat. PSG also didn't choose the teams that they beat. But those teams are better than the teams that Chelsea faced. And so if you are not picking the opponents that we are playing against, but some way somehow I end up getting tougher opponents than you, we both made it to the final. How can you say that your path was easier than mine when I played tougher opponents than yours?
But I didn't choose who I wanted.
And that's what I'm saying, that we didn't choose. We didn't choose
whether you play a tougher opponent or not.
We've made it this far. But at the end of the day, we are looking at the body of work, the context. We are not looking at just the statistic of we both played 5 games. We both not 5 games. They played 3 round of 16 quarterfinals. So we both played 6 games. We both played 6 games and made it to the final. Yes, statistically we both played 6 games. We've made it to the final. But how do you separate the two? So that's where you go into the details. You break it down. That the quality of your opponent vis-a-vis the dominance of your performance, or the dominance that you put up in those wins or in those matches that got you to the final. That's where the tiebreaker is. And when you look at how Chelsea got to the final, when you look at how PSG got to the final, which one is more impressive? Which one was tougher? It was PSG's opponents were tougher, and the way they handled the tough opposition, it makes it even more impressive. And that's why I will rank them ahead of Chelsea. It's not because Chelsea, we didn't even get to choose their opponent. It was right before them, and so they had to beat what was in front of them. Granted, But PSG really didn't choose the opponents that they had to play, but they played tougher opponents than the team that Chelsea played against, and the way they went about beating those teams, it was more impressive than the way Chelsea ended up beating those quote unquote or relatively inferior teams compared to the teams that PSG played against. And so that's where the tiebreaker is.
There are a lot of questions. Guys watching us live on YouTube, they are dropping a lot more of the questions.
Okay, so just a quick one. So Botafogo beat PSG. So does that mean that and if
Botafogo is better than PSG?
If PSG end up winning the FIFA Club World Cup, so because Botafogo beat PSG, so it means that Botafogo is a better club than PSG.
No, that's just one. That's not the whole.
That's more point. You can't just look at it from one prism. That's my point, because Botafogo beat PSG. So what that means is if PSG end up winning the FIFA Club World Cup, because Botafogo beat PSG in this same FIFA Club World Cup. So if PSG end up winning the FIFA Club World Cup, then it means that Botafogo was a better club than PSG because they were the only team that beat PSG. Because so far they are the only team that has beaten PSG.
Do you think Chelsea is underestimated?
I think so, to an extent. That one, I have to give it to them. That per what they've done so far, looking at how the project has been a little bit chaotic, and what Enzo Maresca has done, I think he in particular is underestimated, underrated, and what Chelsea have been able to do, I think it's a bit underrated, especially knowing very well that they have defensive issues, they have goalkeeping issues, and they have a striking issue before they brought in Joao Pedro and Liam Delap, because Nicolas Jackson wasn't the guy getting the job done at a high clip. And so I think their season that they've had and what they've been able to do so far, I think they don't get enough praise. But that doesn't mean that if they win the FIFA Club World Cup, they are the best team in the world. Far from it, they are not the best team in the world. And so what that means is that let's say Chelsea also lost in the FIFA Club World Cup. They lost one of their games. So do you want to go? I'll check it out. So does that mean that because Chelsea ended up making it to the final, so they are a better team than PSG? I honestly don't get it. I honestly don't get it. It doesn't rush for me. It doesn't rush for me.
Well, that's interesting. But is Carlo Ancelotti going to prison? Just a quick one.
Oh no, he went to prison. The report is that he would have to settle a fine for evading taxes for a period, and it happened in his first spell in charge of Real Madrid, where he got them to win the La Decima, 2013-2014 time period. And so you evaded tax per the report, and so you have to pay the tax, and once you pay the tax, there's a fine for evading the tax. So you've paid it, but the fact that you evaded it, that one is an offense, and you have to pay a fine for it. He's not going to prison. He'll just have to pay a fine, and he'll be sorted.
Oh, that's great. No, there's more. I want to pick a few of the messages, then we'll see how we draw the curtains on today's edition. But I see a lot of people commenting on our YouTube message, our live chats, that space. This one says, this is from Senam. Senam says Chelsea is not being underestimated. We're talking reality, and you fans are not ready for it. So you go and sleep and cry until reality dawns on you, and you start saying PSG were expected to win. I see Richmond Dapa also sends in a message. See, if Chelsea beats PSG, Chelsea is the best club in the world. You have to beat the best to be the best.
But did they beat the best to get to
the rest?
But did they beat the best to get to the final?
I don't think so.
They didn't beat the best.
But if they beat PSG is one of the best.
Yes, PSG is the best team in the tournament.
So I guess that's his point.
Yeah, PSG is the best team in the tournament. But the fact that you beat PSG does not mean that you are the best team in the world. it's not the tournament. And even in the tournament, they aren't even the best. But at the end of the day, you won the trophy. So yeah, you can take credit for that. But it goes beyond the tournament, and that it goes again to what I always say, my mantra, which is you look beyond the numbers. You watch the game. Chelsea playing against quote-unquote inferior teams haven't been as dominant as PSG have been playing against tougher opponents. That's where the distinction comes in. That's where the distinction comes in. You look at how they played, they beat Atletico Madrid. Dominant performance. You look at how they beat Lionel Messi's Inter Miami. Dominant performance.
That's true.
You look at how they beat Bayern Munich. Dominant performance. And they finished that game with 9 men. You look at how they beat Real Madrid. Dominant performance. So how can you say that this team is not the best team in the world?
That's a big question, though. Yeah. Well, I need to say thank you very much for showing up. But look, our black satellites are playing the Wafu Zombie against Nigeria. The FA is super quiet about it. Whatever. When you go to their page on X, they have some few posts in there. But that's also okay. I wanted to read some few messages, on our live chats before we go, especially in relation to Kudus Mohammed and all of that. Yeah. So you're saying that PSG is beating Chelsea in the final?
Yes. They're beating Chelsea in the final. That's my prediction.
Okay, that's fine as well. Okay, all right. I pick a few messages. Here we go. It says PSG is the European champion. So what are you saying? I mean, that's Richard Dapage. He follows up because he is thinking that, well, look, if you beat the best who have beaten the rest of the best teams, it makes you the best as well automatically. Like it's sort of like when we were in class, when we were beginning or maybe in basic school life, and then they jump you from say class 1 to say class 3. It also shows that look, you're a brilliant student, and in that class 1 stage that you are, the guys you are with in the class are unable to compete with you. So when they jump you match the same energy as the guys who are ahead of you. I guess this argument. This one also reads PSG 4 Chelsea 0. Sanam says that, and Brahim Rauf also is preaching about love. He says one love, one world. Ojam Atta is saying Kudus will thrive in this Tottenham team. West Ham was a bad luck last season. Thomas Frank will help him. Spurs, Kudus to Spurs, says Heat. And people are excited about Kudus and the move to Tottenham Spurs. But hey, guys, thank you very much for staying with us here live on YouTube today for today's edition of the breakdown live transfer news about Kudus moving to Tottenham Spurs. We touched a bit on the situation with Carlo Ancelloti. Spoke about the FIFA Club World Cup as well. Yeah, you have a bit of the latest in NBA before we go. I saw on our story card on X a player, married 6 months, an ex NBA star married 6 months. The wife says no, there's a problem. They want to dissolve it. They say I'm taking half of your property.
Well, it's standard legal affairs connected to marriage in the US, and so I'm not surprised that this sort of issue has come up regarding Dwight Howard, who's a former Los Angeles Lakers center. He played for a long time with the Orlando Magic, so I'm not surprised this thing has come up. Once there is talk of a divorce, the next thing you have to look out for is the split in properties, split in resources, unless you did a prenup, and most of these guys don't do a prenup. So once you don't do a prenup, that's what you are going to end up with if there is a divorce in there somewhere. And I'm still on the NBA. I'm former Sacramento Kings and Portland Trail Blazers player, shooting guard. That's Ben McLemore. He has been sentenced to 8 years in prison because of rape issues, and so the judgment or the sentence has been handed down, and his lawyers are looking to appeal that sentence, and so we'll keep an eye out on that one. And those are on the negative side, but on the positive side, players are getting handed out contract extensions. Phoenix Suns shooting guard, veteran shooting guard. That's Devin Booker. He got a 145 million, 2-year, $145 million extension to his contract. So that makes it 6 years that he will be attached to the Phoenix Suns. And Chet Holmgren, who is part of the Oklahoma City Thunder, that just won the NBA title. He has also been given a $200 million extension and with the Oklahoma City Thunder, and they are likely to give Jalen Williams also a contract extension, a max contract extension. And so the guys are getting paid in the NBA off season. And that's the lowdown on the NBA.
Thank you very much, Jay Minta. And thank you for watching as well. That's all for today's live edition on our YouTube page. The page is City Sports Ghana. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Subscribe. Put on that notification bell as well. And get all our live streams. You heard from Yao Ej Minta, one of the finest writers in West Africa and beyond. I am Bernard Abekoche. So sports is life. You get involved.